Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. Although the ASX 200 was up today, I think this is, for me, it was actually really weak. I think a lot of the only stocks that were really doing well were the banks and obviously some of the oil companies. But most of the companies in the ASX 200, 300 are down, and I think this shows there's a lot of nerves out there. They've got the obviously the job numbers are coming out tonight in the States. And that could really seriously affect the interest rates. And I think generally the market's obviously seeing the pound collapse overnight. I think people are just very, very, very nervous at the moment. And, as a result, I think, I'm just looking at the actual, if you look at the ASX 200, it says it's going to be sort of fairly bullish next week. I've got a funny feeling I think it'll turn down next week from next week. And just funny enough, just looking back on previous chart patterns, you can see going back into, we're trading at similar levels, funny enough, back in November, December 2013, where, again, we had a failed buy signal where we should have actually gone on with it back then. And again, very similar chart pattern, very similar sort of days up, days down. And I think we're going to have, I think we're going possibly pretty quickly go down and sort of test that sort of 5,200 level next week. Possibly that's a good, important support level, and obviously if we break that, then we're going to go down a little bit further. So we have been saying really at Equity Story for the last sort of 2 months to get as much in. We've been selling stocks and get money in cash, and I think that is very sort of, it's very, very important because we are going to be I believe in for a really sort of rocky month. Just looking at sort of some of the trending stocks. I mean, obviously things like FXL, FPH, and BAP are holding up really well. I think the gold stocks, the evolutions of the world. I think if those job numbers tonight are disappointing, I think you're going to see these gold stocks bounce back pretty quickly and pretty fast. Just having a look at some of the sort of weekly buy and sell signals and just seeing how they got on. Obviously, there were a few gold stocks in there, and obviously gold stocks turned, so they're not going to have their normal bullish week. But companies that we said were had buy signals, you can see obviously CSR going beautifully through that buy signal and going up on a pretty sort of difficult week. BLD ended the week slightly up. Technology One went for that buy signal pretty nicely and also had an excellent week, is up about 2.5%. SGR, pretty solid trend, and this is a stock that in normal times would have actually been trending up a little bit higher this week, and it's just I think just market sentiment pulled it back a little bit. But you find that all these stocks that had these sort of weekly buy signals have held up really, really well, and things like IGO, they've got a little bit of gold, so they've got pulled back a little bit, but basically you can see from the charts holding up really well. And obviously ORA, this is a stock we've trended in the past. I wouldn't trend it now because it's sort of near that sort of, it's a little bit toppy for me, but I think definitely come back if the market does pull back. This comes back to around these sort of 270, 280 level would be an interesting story to obviously get into. And some of the bullish stocks actually, difficult week did really, really well. Aristocrat looks really good now. That's got a fantastic buy signal. It'll be interesting to see what the Dow does. This could be something that we could put on Monday, but we just need to be really careful. We just need to have a good look what that Dow's doing tonight. Obviously ALQ had a pretty good bullish week in a tough market, and look, BHP, like I said, those sort of resource stocks having a really good week. Dow was really bullish. So again, I think these bullish stocks. Look at Guard had an excellent week. I think some of these don't know why that's not meant to be in there. Some of these bullish stocks that have done very well. MND holding up, REA looking fine. Obviously the evolutions, it's holding the trend line, but obviously that with gold it had a good pullback. And funny enough, the GMG, Goodman, MGR, SG, the property stocks didn't do as well this week. So obviously that's that sort of sentiment, just possibly moving away from some of these property companies at the moment. Anyway, that's all I've got to talk about tonight. Equity story. I think we've got going to be an interesting week next week, and we need some few of the trending stocks to get going for us. And we're not. Again, I do apologise. This is not the market to be putting too many stocks on. This is a market to really make sure we're holding some cash and hopefully going to buy some of these stocks back at really good prices sometime in the next month. Anyway, I'd like to sort of thank you for listening to Equity Story, and I wish you a good night. Thank you.